Imagine a man who works at a bakery, just a kind soul, whose biggest wish, really, is just to be smart. To finally, like he puts it in his own early writings, be like other people.
Yeah.
That's Charlie Gordon. And his story, which we get from his own progress reports, his memories, it starts with this really simple but pretty profound human dream.
And those records, they show it takes him on a journey that's just far more complex and, well, revealing than anyone could have guessed, least of all Charlie himself, perhaps. He's a man with an intellectual disability, and he gets chosen for this experimental procedure. The whole idea is to, well, boost his intelligence dramatically.
Yeah, dramatically is the word. Our mission here is really to unpack Charlie's experience. We want to trace that arc, from where he started, those simple hopes he had, through this incredible, rapid transformation. And then, this is crucial, the unexpected, sometimes really painful consequences that happened, all according to his own accounts.
Exactly. And his early reports, they pretty quickly introduce the key players, don't they?
They do. There's a teacher, Miss Kinnian, who seems really dedicated.
Yeah, and the scientists, Professor Niemer and Dr. Strauss, the guys behind the experiment.
And Algernon. Can't forget Algernon, the mouse who's kind of his parallel subject in all this.
And his coworkers back at the bakery, Joe, Frank, Gimpy, and the boss, Mr. Donner.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's look at Charlie's world before everything, shifted.
Well, the earliest reports, they give such a clear picture of where he's starting from. You see it right there in his handwriting.
Yeah, the spelling.
Things like progress report or dint. His difficulties with reading, writing, spelling, they're just right there on the page. Obvious.
And we find out later his IQ is measured around, what, 70?
Around 70, yeah. But even with those struggles, his motivation, it just leaps off the page. It's so clear, so powerful.
He writes, I want to get smart if they will let me. It's not about getting rich or famous, is it?
Not at all. It's about belonging. The real driver is just to be like other people.
Exactly. He mentions wanting to surprise everyone, especially his family, who he apparently hasn't seen in a long time.
Right. He holds on to this hope that the operation will let him find them and sort of prove himself. He says, boy, would they be surprised to see me smart just like them and my sister. It's just this really touching hope for acceptance, connection.
And the operation becomes the absolute focus of that hope. He talks about the pre-tests, like the Rorschach ink blots, the tap pictures. But his understanding is really basic. He just thinks it's a test. You either pass or you fail. He gets confused when the tester asks for stories about the pictures.
Yeah, he thinks he's just supposed to say what he sees, right? It really highlights that initial gap, his incredible desire versus, well, his limited grasp of what's actually happening.
And then there's Algernon.
Algernon the mouse. He meets him and immediately compares himself. Algernon's already solving the maze faster.
And Charlie notes, kind of sadly, I never knew before that I was dumber than a mouse.
And right away, he wants to beat Algernon in the race. It's such a simple comparison, but it sets up this parallel that becomes, well, just heartbreaking later on.
So his life at this point, it centers on the bakery. He cleans, makes deliveries.
And he goes to an adult center, which was suggested by Fanny Burden's cousin, a college student. That shows he was already trying to learn, even before the experiment came along.
Yeah, that drive was there. And crucially, he truly believes his co-workers, Joe, Frank, Gimpy. He writes, they're his friends and they really like me. He genuinely thinks that.
But the source material, even those early reports, you get these little glimpses that really crash with that belief, don't you?
You do. You see times where they're clearly laughing at him, making him the butt of jokes.
Or saying things like, why waste your time? They can't put any brains in where there ain't none. Brutal.
And Charlie's reports show he just doesn't get it yet. He thinks their laughter means they're friendly.
It's a key insight the reports give us, isn't it? His intellectual disability wasn't just about cognitive stuff. It affected how he read social cues, how he could sort of protect himself emotionally.
That vulnerability and that really deep desire for connection, that's the ground where this whole rapid ascent begins. And Charlie's reports, they show the change almost instantly, just in the language itself.
Exactly. You see it first, and it's quite striking in the spelling and the grammar as the reports go on.
Yeah, suddenly it's...
Words like progress report, consciousness, subconscious, they start appearing, spelled correctly. It's like a visible record of his mind just waking up.
And a big part of this, according to his reports, is that teaching machine that works like TV. Professor Niemer gives it to him.
Right. It plays lessons while he sleeps. Dr. Strauss tries to explain it involves the subconscious and the conscious.
He describes them as parts of the mind that don't always talk to each other, which leads to crazy dreams.
Yeah. And that idea, even though Charlie only vaguely gets it at first, it's a really crucial insight into the internal world the experiment is cracking open. It hints at that link between deep, buried stuff and waking thoughts, and foreshadows the emotional conflicts that are coming.
Miss Kinnian, his teacher, she's there guiding him through this. She confirms how fast he's progressing, tells him he's reached a plateau.
Using that analogy of the flat top of a hill before the next climb.
And his excitement when he starts understanding grammar, when he rereads his old reports, you can just feel it. He says, boy, did I have crazy spelling and punctuation.
Yeah, he wants to go back and fix them all.
But Niemer tells him, no, leave them just as they are. They need to track the journey.
Which is smart scientifically, but imagine how frustrating for Charlie.
Right. But this intellectual awakening, it also brings this really painful social realization. It shatters that old, naive belief about his so-called friends.
The party incident.
Oh.
He remembers dancing with a lampshade, everyone laughing.
And the understanding hits him later, just starkly. He writes, I never knew before that Joe and Frank and the others like to have me around just to make fun of me. Now I know what they mean when they say to pull a Charlie Gordon.
Oof. That's a brutal aha moment. It's not empowering, it's just painful. It reveals the truth about his past isolation, the cruelty that was dressed up as friendship.
And he links it, doesn't he? Directly to a childhood memory. He recounts it in detail in the reports.
Yeah, getting bullied, beaten up, kids yelling, Charlie got a lickin'. It's such a clear insight into how past trauma shapes how you understand things now. And how being smarter doesn't just bring knowledge, it brings the ability to feel deeper emotional pain, to revisit old wounds.
He even realizes, looking back, that his anger at Bert during a Rorschach retest, when he thought Bert was laughing at him, it was that same raw nerve being hit, even though Bert probably wasn't mocking him at all.
Right. It's all interconnected.
So as his intelligence just skyrockets, his world expands way beyond the bakery. He starts hanging out at the university.
Listening to students talk about really complex stuff. Poetry and science and philosophy, Shakespeare, Newton, Einstein, Freud, Plato, Hegel, Kant.
He feels like he belongs there, like he's a part of the university. But this new world, it creates a new kind of isolation, doesn't it?
It does. Loneliness back home. His brilliance doesn't really have an anchor yet in his personal life.
This incredibly fast evolution, intellectually, it just changes everything for him. He has to navigate this completely new reality, especially with relationships, how people see him.
Yeah, back at the bakery, things get tense.
Dramatically different. His intelligence makes him super efficient. He figures out ways to speed up production.
Gets a bonus, a raise from Mr. Donner. He thinks he's contributing, being helpful.
But his success just pushes his coworkers away. The reports show that shift from them kind of laughing at him to actual hostility. Fear, even.
He writes things like, everyone seems frightened of me, and nobody at the place talks to me anymore.
It's chilling, isn't it? The very difference that once made him a target for jokes now makes him scary, someone to exclude.
And the reports point out Fanny Burden is the only one who won't sign the petition to get rid of him. She holds on to this idea of his worth beyond just his IQ.
While Mr. Donner's stuck in the middle, caught between his promise to Charlie's uncle and, well, the disruption Charlie's causing now.
And his relationship with Miss Kinnian, with Alice, that deepens too. He starts seeing her differently.
Falling in love.
Yeah. But intimacy is difficult. He describes these physical reactions, cold, arms and legs prickly, a damn buzzing in my ears, seeing a shadowy figure.
And the reports link this straight back to past trauma, don't they? That memory of his mother's reaction to a bathroom accident when he was a kid.
Exactly, linking shame and fear to the cold tiled room. It's such a powerful insight. Even this massive intellectual leap can't just erase these deeply buried emotional, physical responses tied to the past.
He tries to use logic, right? Thinking of it as merely biochemical reactions.
But it doesn't help emotionally. It doesn't resolve anything.
He also connects with Faye, his neighbor. She's such a contrast.
Totally. Her openness, her messiness, which clashes with his own growing need for order, and just her need for simple human contact. It offers a different kind of dynamic.
It highlights his own need for just, uncomplicated connection, outside of all the intellectual stuff.
Then there's the whole moral dilemma with Gimpy stealing from Mr. Donner.
That causes huge internal conflict for him. Loyalty to his old friend versus, what's right.
He talks to Dr. Strauss, who tells him he's morally obligated to do something. He talks to Alice.
His attempt to confront Gimpy, but sort of indirectly, hypothetically.
It just backfires. Gimpy gets angry, and it fuels the resentment from the other coworkers. They feel judged, intellectually inferior.
Yeah, it's another insight. Applying these abstract moral ideas can really strain real-world relationships.
Then comes the Chicago conference. Professor Niemer's pushing to present the findings early.
Maybe too early. Dr. Strauss seems cautious, notes Charlie's still changing.
And we find out through Bert, apparently Mrs. Niemer is kind of pushing for the early publication too. Adds another layer.
So, at the conference, surrounded by all these academics talking about his own mind, Charlie has this big realization.
Yeah, he watches Niemer and Strauss and suddenly sees them not as these giants he first imagined,
Right.
but as ordinary men working blindly.
That must have been unsettling.
Deeply. He finds it frightening to realize that my fate is in the hands of men who are not the giants I once thought them to be, men who don't know all the answers. It's like losing this illusion about science, about authority.
And then, during Bert's presentation, Bert says something like, Charlie did not really exist before this experiment.
That's the trigger, isn't it? According to Charlie's reports, that's the catalyst.
He sees it as them claiming they created him, denying the person he was before.
Which leads to this dramatic outburst. Charlie describes his hand moving almost on its own, independent of my will, and he lets Algernon out of his cage right there on the table.
Wow. An act of rebellion.
An identification with the mouse, his fellow subject. Then he just leaves Chicago, abruptly, taking Algernon with him.
And he notes later, with this kind of chilling foresight, I may not have all the time I thought I had.
And that departure, it really signals the start of the descent. Charlie starts seeing Algernon's fate casting the shadow over his own future.
The reports carefully track the first signs of decline in Algernon, right?
Meticulously. His behavior gets erratic, he has rages, loses coordination.
Ends up confused and dead ends in the maze. Charlie describes him just moving in circles, squeaking. It sounds distressing.
And Algernon's death. It's just this grim, direct foreshadowing for Charlie. He finds the mouse dead and performs the dissection himself.
The findings are explicit and alarming. Algernon's brain had decreased in weight, and there was a smoothing out of the cerebral convolutions.
A visible sign of the brain degrading. Charlie sees it and knows this could be happening to him, he writes, quite vulnerably.
It's frightening to think that the same thing might be happening to me right now. Seeing it happen to Algernon makes it real. For the first time, I'm afraid of the future.
That fear, that urgency, it fuels his final bursts of scientific work. He formulates the Algernon-Gordon effect.
Writes it out clearly. Artificially induced intelligence deteriorates at a rate of time directly proportional to the quantity of the increase.
And the implication of his own formula is just devastating and unavoidable.
Because the amount his intelligence went up was so huge.
His predicted fall will be just as fast, maybe faster. He sees it coming. My own mental deterioration will be quite rapid.
And then we see it happening. His own decline mirrors Algernon's. Detailed in agony in the reports, he becomes absent-minded.
Increasingly irritable, loses his temper, especially with Alice.
Finds he can't even understand his own complex writing anymore. He notes, most of it I don't even understand.
The joy's gone. He loses interest in things he loved, gets bored at a Stravinsky concert. Learning, thinking, it starts to fade. He struggles even with easy books.
And in this race against time, he tries to connect with his past, with his family. Finds that newspaper article.
Right, mentioning Irma thought he was dead back at the Warren place, the state home, and that his father runs a barbershop in the Bronx.
The visit to his father, Matt, it sounds incredibly raw. Matt doesn't recognize him at first.
Charlie triggers this memory, being taken to that quack doctor, Guarino, with the machine and restraining straps, and another piece of his difficult past.
And remembering wetting himself, his mother's shame.
Matt eventually recognizes him, but there's discomfort. Charlie feels like his own intellectual growth diminished him. It makes Charlie feel deeply ashamed, physically sick even.
It's such an insight into those complex, often painful family dynamics, isn't it? Perceived failure, resentment.
Then the visit to his mother and sister, Norma, equally complex, vividly captured.
His mother seems detached, mentally faded, stuck in the past. Remembering him as this potentially brilliant kid ruined by the evil IQ, blaming everyone else.
But Norma, she's surprisingly warm, accepting, regrets teasing him in the past.
And she reveals why he was sent away for your own good, she says, to protect her chance at a normal life. A painful truth he can finally process.
The reports describe them talking about their mother as if she wasn't there, just highlighting her state and the shared burden on them.
As his decline speeds up, his relationship with Alice just crumbles under the pressure.
She tries so hard to help him hold on to the knowledge, right? Leaves books, talks about the news.
She's always the school teacher, as he puts it. Can't stop teaching, even as he's losing it.
But he pushes her away, tells her she's making it harder for me, that she's pushing me, just like my mother. He tells her to leave.
And the apartment feels quiet and empty now, mirroring how he feels inside.
His writing gets worse and worse, a direct physical sign of the decline. He gives up the typewriter. Coordination is too bad. Switches to longhand.
Clings to reading, even easy books, trying to hold his own. Just a desperate attempt to stay connected to that world he briefly knew.
Eventually, he makes that difficult decision, recorded in the reports, to go back to the bakery. Asks for his old job back.
Mr. Donner is sad, but welcomes him. Tells him, Charlie, you got guts.
The coworkers are cautious at first, maybe pitying. Then the new guy, Meyer Klaus.
Yeah, he mocks Charlie, threatens him, grabs his arm.
And this triggers this really remarkable moment. Joe Karp and Frank Riley, the same guys who used to laugh at him.
They step right in, defend him. Joe grabs Klaus, yells, leave him alone, you lousy bastard, or break your neck. Charlie is a good guy, and nobody's going to start up with him without answering for it. Gimpy joins in, too.
It's such a profound insight from the reports, isn't it? Underneath the past cruelty, the later fear, there was this basic loyalty, a human connection, protectiveness that had nothing to do with IQ.
And Charlie, even as he's declining, shows empathy. Doesn't want Klaus fired. Remembers how it felt to be let go himself.
Alice keeps trying, brings money, visits.
But he sends her away. He writes that he lies, says he doesn't love her, didn't want to be smart. Because they don't want her to laugh at me. He wants to spare her the pain.
A final, really painful act of love, pushing away the one person who truly accepted both Charlies.
Which brings us to his final decision. Chronicled in those last reports. A choice that seems to offer some kind of peace, given his inevitable future.
He visits Miss Kinnian's adult class one last time, sees the new faces, sees Lester Braun, the student who was smarter but didn't have Charlie's drive.
And when he loses his book and instinctively says, I really pulled a Charlie Gordon that time, using his own old phrase for messing up.
That hits him hard. He realizes how far he's fallen, right back to where he started, and he sees the distress it causes Alice.
That cements his decision to leave. Not just the class, but New York altogether. He writes, I don't want to do nothing like that again. He doesn't want to keep reminding people, especially Miss Kinnian, of who he used to be.
I don't want Miss Kinnian to feel sorry for me. That's the core of it.
He understands his old bakery friends feel sorry for him now, too. The comparison to his former self is just this constant painful thing for everyone.
He writes, nobody cares that Charlie Gordon was once a genius, and now he can't even read a book or write good. The world he fought so hard to join, the intellectual world, it's not his place anymore.
So his final decision, as documented, is to go to the Warren State Home. That place he was sent briefly as a kid, visited as an adult.
He decides to go someplace where there are a lot of other people like me, where he won't be judged against his past genius, where he can just be without that weight of comparison. It's a choice for a different kind of belonging, maybe?
One free from the expectations tied to that temporary brilliance.
And finally, that incredibly poignant act. One of his last entries describes putting flowers on Algernon's grave.
Calling him a special mouse.
It's simple, but it acknowledges their shared journey, their shared fate, recognizes the mouse's significance as this parallel life.
So looking back at Charlie's whole journey, just through his own reports, you see this extraordinary, absolutely heartbreaking arc, from intellectual disability to genius, and then back again.
The sources just lay it out so clearly, that stark contrast between the incredibly rapid ascent and the equally rapid predicted fall, based on his own chilling formula.
The key insights we can draw from Charlie's recorded experience, they feel really layered, profound.
Definitely. You see how complex intelligence really is. It's way more than just an IQ score. Drive, motivation, like Charlie had in spades, that's just as crucial.
And the pain of social isolation, it follows him through every single stage, doesn't it? It just changes form from mockery to fear to pity.
Yeah. The sources also kind of pull back the curtain on the scientists, Niemeyer and Strauss, shows their flawed human side, working blindly sometimes, influenced by personal stuff, Mrs. Niemeyer, not the infallible giants Charlie first thought.
Right. But their work, flawed or not, is what made his journey possible. Makes you think about the ethics, the reality of scientific ambition.
And yet through it all, you see these moments of real human connection, empathy, his old friends defending him at the end.
Norma's acceptance, surprising warmth, Mr. Donner's conflicted loyalty.
Those moments really highlight that true belonging maybe it isn't just about intellect. It exists in these unexpected places, simple acts of caring.
Charlie's struggle, that feeling of being two Charlie Gordons that Dr. Strauss mentions,
Yeah.
trying to integrate his past and present selves, that it feels like something deeply relatable, doesn't it? Navigating huge change, fractured identity. Why do you think this story, just told in his own words, sticks with us so much?
It really forces you to consider the cost of consciousness, I suppose. What you gain, what you might lose.
Yeah. So based just on these reports, think about this. Charlie wanted intelligence so he could be like other people, find connection. But the journey ultimately led him through profound isolation, cut off from both his past and his present.
Right.
So what does his story suggest about where real belonging, real understanding is actually found? Was chasing intelligence worth that cost of isolation for him? Or did it end up revealing something maybe even more fundamental about being human, about connection that exists somewhere beyond just intellect?
Something definitely to ponder as you reflect on Charlie's remarkable, tragic, and, well, deeply human journey, all documented in his own words.